What if episode 8 finally gives us the answer we've all been waiting for? The moment when Belly must face the truth about her heart. The entire love triangle that has kept fans debating for years finally reaches its breaking point. The finale isn't just another episode, it's the chapter where all the little choices, glances, and unspoken words finally come together. And with so much tension leading up to this, it feels like the entire summer has been building toward this one decision. Will Belly risk everything for the first love that shaped her? Or will she let herself step into something new, something safe, and something that could last? That's the question sitting at the heart of episode 8, and every single clue so far has been pulling us toward this explosive ending. The setup for the finale is layered with emotional weight. By the time episode 7 closes, we see Belly caught in the middle of family chaos. Lingering grief and unresolved feelings that have haunted her since the very beginning of the series. Every character is standing at a crossroads, but no one more than Belly. Conrad is still the shadow of her first love, someone who knows her in ways no one else ever has. Jeremiah, on the other hand, has always been her anchor, the one she turns to when the world feels too heavy. And while Belly tries to navigate these complicated relationships, the summer house, the place that holds all their memories, becomes the backdrop for one last turning point. It's not just about romance anymore. It's about letting go, holding on, and deciding what love really means when everything is on the line. Episode 8 doesn't arrive out of nowhere. It's built on everything that came before. The late-night conversations, the near kisses, the misunderstandings, and the heartbreaks. The wedding subplot has already added layers of tension, making the atmosphere heavier and more emotional than ever. Weddings are supposed to symbolize beginnings, but here, it feels like an ending to the closing of a chapter for the Fisher family and for Belly's childhood. Each scene leading up to the finale feels like it's been carefully designed to remind us that Belly's choice will not just affect her future, but also change the entire dynamic of the family she has been a part of for so long. The stakes are higher than ever, and with every passing moment, the tension tightens. The beauty of this setup lies in the way it mirrors Belly's personal growth. At the start of the story, she was a girl swept away by the excitement of first love, unsure of herself and the world around her. But now, by the time we reach the finale, she's no longer that uncertain girl. She's someone who has experienced heartbreak, loss, and self-discovery. Episode 8 will test everything she has learned. Her choice, whether Conrad, Jeremiah, or herself, will be the truest reflection of who she is now and who she wants to become. And that's what makes this finale so powerful. It's not just about which brother gets chosen. It's about Belly finally choosing the kind of love she believes she deserves. Asterisk, what if? After all the twists, the pain, and the misunderstandings, Belly's heart still belongs to Conrad. This theory has been one of the most talked about possibilities since the beginning, and for good reason. Conrad is not just Belly's first love. He's the boy who shaped the way she sees romance. The one whose quiet presence has always lingered. In the background of her life, no matter how hard she's tried to move forward, no matter how many walls she's built around her feelings, Conrad always finds a way back into her heart. In many ways, choosing Conrad would mean coming full circle, returning to the place where it all started, but with the wisdom and growth that both of them have gained along the way. When we look at the journey that led them here, there are countless moments that suggest Conrad might still be the one. He has always struggled to express his feelings openly, hiding behind his silence and his sense of responsibility. But underneath those layers, his love for Belly has never disappeared. Every stolen glance, every time he showed up when she least expected it, was proof that his feelings run deeper than words. In episode 7, and especially in the lead-up to episode 8, Conrad's actions speak louder than anything he could say. His sacrifices, his willingness to put Belly's happiness above his own, and the way he seems to always linger in her thoughts point to something unfinished between them. If the finale is truly about resolution, then the most natural conclusion would be Belly finally acknowledging that, despite everything, she has never stopped loving him. The idea of Belly choosing Conrad isn't just about romance, it's about closure. Their relationship has been marked by miscommunication and heartbreak, but it has also been marked by a connection that neither of them can deny. If episode 8 allows Belly to look past the mistakes, to see the love that has been there all along, it would transform her journey into one of forgiveness and rediscovery. Conrad represents a love that isn't easy but is real, a love that has been tested by time, grief, and distance. Choosing him would mean choosing a future built on growth and second chances. And for many fans, that feels like the most authentic ending. There's also the symbolic weight of Conrad and Belly's story. He isn't just a character. He's the embodiment of Belly Summers, of her transition from childhood to adulthood. From the very first season, Conrad has been tied to Belly's memories of growing up, of falling in love for the first time, and of realizing that love isn't always perfect. Bringing the story back to Conrad in episode 8 would tie everything together in a poetic way, as if Belly's entire journey has been preparing her to finally understand the depth of what she feels for him. It would show that even though she explored different paths, her heart always knew where it belonged. But more than nostalgia, choosing Conrad would also be a brave choice. Conrad has hurt Belly, not out of malice but out of fear, and loving him again means risking that pain once more. Belly choosing him in the finale would show that she is willing to take that risk because some connections are worth it. It would show that she values the depth of their bond over the safety of a simpler love. And in a way it would mirror her own growth, because only someone who has truly matured can look at a complicated relationship and say, "Yes, I still choose you." Of course, this theory is not without its challenges. Fans who support Jeremiah argue that Conrad has had his chance. He's been too closed off, too hesitant, and too afraid to step forward when it mattered. But that's what makes the possibility of Belly choosing him so powerful. Episode 8 could be the moment when Conrad finally overcomes those fears, finally says the words that Belly has always needed to hear. It could be the moment when he lays his heart bare and Belly, in turn, realizes that she has been waiting for this all along. If the finale gives us that kind of breakthrough, then Conrad isn't just the boy she loved, he's the man she chooses to build her future with. In the end, the theory of Belly choosing Conrad is one rooted in unfinished business and the undeniable pull of first love. It's about a love that has been broken and mended, a love that feels both fragile and unshakable. And if episode 8 delivers on that promise, it would not only satisfy the fans who have been rooting for Conrad since the beginning, but it would also close Belly's story in a way that feels timeless and inevitable. Because sometimes the heart doesn't move on, it just waits for the right moment to come home. Asterisk, but what if the finale flips the script completely, and Belly finally gives her whole heart to Jeremiah? This theory has grown stronger with every new episode, and it's easy to see why. Jeremiah has always been different from Conrad, warm and unafraid to show his feelings. Where Conrad hides behind silence, Jeremiah shines through his honesty. Where Conrad pulls away, Jeremiah reaches out. If episode 8 is about choosing the kind of love that feels safe, joyful, and consistent, then Jeremiah might be the answer Belly has been searching for all along. From the very start, Jeremiah has been her anchor, the one she could laugh with even when everything else felt heavy. He has never left her guessing, never hidden his affection, and never made her feel like she was hard to love. That reliability has only grown more important as the story has unfolded. In Season 3, we've seen Jeremiah's loyalty tested again. And again, he's not just a fun distraction. He's someone who has proven that he can stand by Belly in her darkest moments. Choosing Jeremiah would mean choosing the kind of love that doesn't leave her in doubt. A love that feels steady and reliable. Even when the world around them is chaotic, there are also subtle but powerful signs throughout the season pointing to Jeremiah as Belly's possible endgame. The way he listens to her without judgment. The way he steps back when she needs space, but shows up when it matters most. These moments show that Jeremiah understands Belly in a way that's different from Conrad. He doesn't demand perfection. From her, he accepts her as she is. That kind of unconditional love is something Belly has always craved, and in episode 8, it could become the deciding factor. Choosing Jeremiah would symbolize Belly's decision to stop chasing the painful highs and lows of first love and instead embrace a future built on stability, happiness, and trust. It's important to remember that Jeremiah represents more than just the other brother. He represents a different version of love entirely. With Conrad, Belly has history, heartbreak, and a bond forged in silence. With Jeremiah, she has openness, laughter, and a sense of ease. Jeremiah makes her feel wanted without the heavy weight of unspoken words. He shows her that love doesn't have to be a battlefield. It can be something simple, sweet, and constant. If episode 8 ends with Belly choosing Jeremiah, it would reflect her growth into someone who knows the difference between being adored and being left in doubt. And for many fans, this ending would be the most refreshing twist. For so long, the narrative has circled around Conrad as the inevitable choice. But if Belly chooses Jeremiah, it would show that the story isn't just about first loves, it's about realizing when someone truly deserves you. Jeremiah has always been portrayed as the brother who loves without conditions, and Belly choosing him in the finale would feel like a reward for his unwavering loyalty. It would also subvert the traditional first love is forever trope, offering viewers a more modern, realistic perspective on love, that sometimes the healthiest choice is the right one, even if it's not the most dramatic. Of course, this choice wouldn't come without its challenges. Belly and Jeremiah's relationship has always lived under Conrad's shadow, and that history could create tension even if she chooses him. But that might be exactly why episode 8 could lean in this direction. The finale could show Belly finally stepping out of that shadow, finally deciding that she doesn't want to live her life caught between what-ifs and unspoken regrets. Choosing Jeremiah would mean choosing her own peace and joy, even if it means disappointing the fans who have rooted for Conrad. Since the beginning, what makes this theory especially compelling is that Jeremiah doesn't just love Belly, he chooses her over and over again. He chooses her without hesitation, without fear. And if the finale highlights that difference, it could tilt everything in his favor. Episode 8 could very well end with Belly realizing that love isn't just about history or intensity, it's about the person who shows up for you, day after day, without fail. Jeremiah has been that person from the very beginning, and giving him her heart could be Belly's way of finally giving herself the happiness she deserves. In the end, Belly chooses Jeremiah. It would be a declaration of self-respect as much as it is a romantic choice. It would show that she values a love that lifts her up instead of leaving her uncertain. It would show that she is ready to leave behind the heartbreak of the past and step into a future where love feels safe, easy, and true. And for many viewers, that would be the most satisfying ending of all, because sometimes the person who's been there all along is the one you were meant to be with from the start. Asterisk. But what if the real twist of the finale is that Belly doesn't end up with either Conrad or Jeremiah? What if instead of choosing between the two brothers, she finally chooses herself? This theory has gained a lot of attention recently because it reflects a very modern idea about love and independence, that sometimes the bravest choice isn't about who you're with, but about learning to stand on your own. Heartbreak, confusion, and pressure of being pulled in two different directions. Belly choosing herself could be the most powerful ending of all throughout the series. Belly's story has always been framed as a love triangle, but underneath all of that, there's another storyline running quietly in the background, her growth into adulthood. We've watched her transform from a shy, unsure girl into a young woman, learning to understand who she is outside of the Fisher family's orbit. Every summer, every argument, and every romantic moment has shaped her identity. Episode 8 might not just be the conclusion of her romantic journey, it might be the conclusion of her journey of self-discovery. And what better way to show that growth than by letting her walk away from the triangle altogether? Belly has been caught between Conrad and Jeremiah for so long that it has almost defined her entire story. Both brothers bring out different sides of her, and both represent different versions of love. But maybe that's the exact reason she shouldn't choose either of them, because her story is no longer about defining herself through someone else. If she chooses herself, it would mean Belly has finally realized that she doesn't need to anchor her happiness to either brother. that she can stand on her own 2 feet and figure out her future without being tied to a romance.
It would be
A message about self-love, independence, and maturity. One that resonates deeply with today's audiences. This theory becomes even more believable when you consider how much pressure Belly has been under. Every decision she makes seems to impact not just her, but the entire Fisher family. Choosing Conrad risks hurting Jeremiah. Choosing Jeremiah risks breaking Conrad's heart. And no matter which brother she picks, the family dynamics would never truly be the same. By choosing neither, Belly could free herself from the guilt of tearing the brothers apart. She could remove herself from the triangle completely, allowing them to rebuild their relationship as siblings without her in the middle. It would be a bittersweet but healing choice, one that puts peace above passion. Choosing herself also ties beautifully into the symbolism of the summer house and the larger themes of the story. The house has always been a place of transition. For Belly, a place where she grew, learned, and experienced love for the first time. But maybe the true lesson of those summers isn't about finding the one. Maybe it's about finding herself. By the end of episode 8, Belly could walk away from Cousins not as someone's girlfriend, but as someone who finally knows her worth. She could take everything she's learned about love, heartbreak, family, and identity and carry it forward into the next stage of her life. Of course, this choice would shock fans who are deeply invested in Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah. But isn't that what makes it such an exciting possibility? It would be unexpected, bold, and incredibly meaningful. Belly choosing herself would challenge the traditional storytelling formula where the girl always ends up with one of the love interests. Instead, it would give the audience a message about growth, that it's okay to take time to focus on your own dreams before tying your life to someone else's. And honestly, that could be even more satisfying than seeing her with either brother, because it would show Belly finally putting herself first. Think about how powerful the finale could be. It ended not with a romantic kiss, but with Belly making a choice for her own future. Maybe she goes off to college with a new sense of purpose. Or maybe she takes time to travel, dream, and figure out what she really wants before settling down. The point isn't that she's rejecting love forever, it's that she's refusing to let her life be defined by it at this moment. She's young, she's growing, and she deserves the freedom to make her own path. That kind of ending would be both realistic and inspiring, especially for viewers who see themselves in her struggle to balance love and identity in the end. Choosing herself doesn't mean Belly doesn't love Conrad or Jeremiah. It means she loves herself enough to take a step back and breathe. It means she understands that sometimes the most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself. And if episode 8 gives us that kind of ending, it would completely change how fans see the series. Instead of asking, who does Belly choose? The real question would become, who does Belly want to become? And maybe, just maybe, that's the story that was meant to be told all along.